My name is Alisha Kuckartz, and I attended Purdue University. I have my undergrad and my master's degrees from Purdue. My undergrad is in secondary education, and I have a minor in Spanish and also a minor in theater and speech communication. My master's is in educational leadership and supervision. So when I graduated from Purdue with my bachelor's degree, I graduated in May, and I immediately started teaching high school English and Spanish. And then I transferred back to Purdue and became an academic advisor in the School of Management in Krannert. And I did that for about 8 months, and then an opening came up in liberal arts, and since that was my kind of home, I transferred over there, and I was an academic advisor in liberal arts for several years. No, I had no idea. I always knew that I wanted to be a teacher until probably around my 3rd year of teaching, and I started realizing that I didn't see myself retiring as a school teacher. I don't know, I felt like I wanted to be more creative in some ways, I guess. Looking far out, I felt like that wasn't going to necessarily satisfy me fully. So I started thinking about being involved in the arts, all my life, basically with dance and baton twirling. And I twirled at Purdue. I was the girl in black and the golden girl at Purdue. And that, I think, really started changing me. I feel like I was always a hard worker. I always, like academically, I was a straight A student. I wanted to do well. My parents never really pushed that. I never remember them. It really came from me. When I went back to Purdue and I was an academic advisor, I also joined the Purdue band staff. I started coaching the Gold Duster dance team and the Purdue Twirlers. Right? So the girl in black at the time was my student. She was teaching at this very location that we are sitting in right now. It used to be a small dance studio. And one day she came to practice and she told me, "Alisha, you're not going to believe this, but she's closing her studio." And immediately I was like, that was in February of 2009. May of 2009 was the open house. I just think my heart kept telling me this, I've got to do this, And 2009 was not a great time to go into business. I just remember saying, I'm doing this. I have to do this. I'd rather go for it, and if it doesn't succeed, at least I know that I gave it my best shot, rather than to always wonder what if. I would say the 2 biggest concerns thinking about would, number 1, be financially, can I make it? Because you don't know, and especially in a business like this is a small business, obviously, it's totally dependent on how many people walk through the door, right? Mm-hmm. You have no idea how many people are going to walk through the door when you're starting something new. 100%, I would say creativity. You have to, especially as a small business owner, I feel like you have to find a niche. You have to somehow be different from the small business down the road. And once you accomplish that or feel you have, you can never be satisfied. You always have to be ahead of the game, I feel, and think of new creative strategies and ideas that are going to market your business. Don't settle for mediocrity in any facet of your business. Go for being the best that you can be. So, and I think that goes back to creativity too. Definitely, I think, our mission is to develop students holistically. So we're not developing dancers here, we're not developing cheerleaders, we're developing people. We don't just teach a student how to turn or how to tumble and flip. What we want to do is use dance or use cheer as a means to help them develop as a full person, a well-rounded person. So things like team building, how to communicate effectively in a small group setting, how to goal set, how to be a positive person and have a positive mindset. Those types of things I feel they can use wherever they go. philosophy and you stick to that philosophy and your principles of your business, and every decision you make has to come back to your center. It has to come back to, these are the principles of this business, and that's how we make the decisions. And we owe it to our public to show that every single day in everything that we do. Knowing that, you know, there's going to be a handful of people who don't buy into your principles, but if you constantly are bending to try to please people, you lose your own center, and then your business doesn't have stability. You know, it starts to just kind of be really weak. And for me, like being your own boss and being able to create your own expectations, like for me to be able to talk to you about what the values are here. I don't have anybody telling me what the values are. At the same time, then you also have to be responsible for owning that. And so sometimes if things don't work out, you have to be humble enough and confident enough to say, that didn't work. But also then be willing to say, okay, we need to go in a different direction, let's try something new, you know? There's this balance of self-confidence, but also humility and never thinking that you know it all. I would say you have to, don't go for it like part way, either go for it or don't do it at all. Think about every possible thing that you would need, and every possible obstacle you feel you might run into. And of course there will be others, because you don't know, so you can't know everything. But try to prepare yourself as best as you can, and that makes, I feel it makes the road a little smoother as you are first beginning. That would be one piece of advice. So be proactive, be really proactive. You can't please everybody. And so I don't like conflict. I like people to be happy. And there's no way you can accomplish that. Never be afraid to ask questions. If I don't know something, I find someone who does. So either hire people who can help you with the things you don't know, or ask questions or find people who can. And for me, like, I have no regrets. I love it every day. It's so hard for me to call this my job because I love it. And if you enjoy being creative and you enjoy being if you enjoy thinking outside the box and trying new things, and you don't mind taking some risks, you know, you live one time. We all have one life. And so for me, it's like I don't want to have any regrets.